Hello, and thank you for joining us for this new video called The Appearance of Fire. We're going to start by looking at the word translated amber. The word amber occurs 3 times in Ezekiel, where he is describing what he sees as the glory of the Lord. He uses that word 3 times. We'll look at Ezekiel 1:4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness about it, and out of the midst thereof as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. A few verses later, and I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire, round about within it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had a brightness round about. And then a few chapters later, then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins even downward, fire, and from his loins even upward, as the appearance of brightness, as the color of amber. Now let's look closer at these words amber. The Hebrew word translated amber is the word hashmal. This word is H2830, that's the Strong's number. H2830 only appears 3 times in the Bible, all in Ezekiel, and it looks like this in the Hebrew, hashmal. So let's look at hashmal in context. And out of the midst thereof is the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. The color, that word color is often translated eyes, like perception. It's the color as a look of amber. It was as the perception of amber, or hashmal, and it had the color of amber. It is translated eyes in a lot of places. Color here, it makes sense. Amber. It was out of the midst of the fire. And I saw as the color of amber, hashmal, and I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it. And again, I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins even downward fire, and from his loins even upward, as the appearance of brightness, as the color of hashmal, the color of amber. The color of amber as the appearance of fire. These things are connected. The color of amber as the appearance of fire. And lo, a likeness. This is a similitude. The likeness was as the appearance of fire, and it describes what he saw as the color of amber on part of it. But the similitude or likeness, hashmal, is likened to the appearance of fire. It is likened to the look, the appearance of fire within this similitude. So when we look up this word, hashmal, we get an interesting result. Remember, it is likened to the appearance of fire, or at least connected to the appearance of fire. And I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it. So I look up this word hashmal and see what we get. Hashmal, amber, a shining substance, amber or electrum, uncertain though. Amber is what it's translated 3 times. So you just copy this word, the actual text of the Hebrew, put it into Google Translate, and you get an interesting result. You get a very interesting result. Electrical power. Electrical power. Hashmal is connected to fire. And hashmal is the modern Hebrew word for electricity. Electricity. In this similitude, electricity is connected to the appearance of fire. The appearance of fire is connected to hashmal, which is electrical power, electricity. That is the modern Hebrew word for electricity, hashmal. It is also in the Bible as amber. It is also has the appearance of fire connected to the appearance of fire. What does this mean? So what does it mean that the Hebrew word for electricity in the Bible in a similitude is likened unto the appearance of fire? It is within the context of the appearance of fire. What does that mean? Well, our country is covered with electrical wiring, and those wires are called hot. They are literally called hot. The wires that cover the cities all the way down over the street into your home are actually called hot. The wire that where the electricity travels down, that wire is called hot. It's called hot coming out of your wall, going into your devices. It is called hot. all around, swallowed up by wiring, swallowed up we are by wiring called hot, all around us, called hot, as if it were fire. It's called hot. So we see the Hebrew word for electricity, hashmal, in Ezekiel is translated amber and likened to the appearance of fire. The wires on which electricity travel are called hot. The people of these days are swallowed up in the hot wires. So when you see these clues, you know that other verses have come to pass or are coming to pass because we are in those days. We see that in James. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Look around you, they have heaped treasure together for the last days. They are swallowed by things that consume their flesh as it were fire. The wires are not fire, but they're called hot, as if they were. And that we are swallowed up in that. We know that these are the last days because they have heaped treasure together for it. So we can see this coming to pass before our eyes. Let's look at Deuteronomy. For their vine, of the vine of Sodom, and of the fields of Gomorrah. Sodom means burning. Gomorrah means submersion. The wires are hot, and they produce fields. The electromagnetic waves are produced by the electricity. The current flowing through the wire, the change in the current, causes a wave to form. Electromagnetic waves carry the images and communication in the modern world. Those waves, the land is submerged in waves. The land is submerged in waves. Their vine is of the vine of Sodom, burning, and of the fields of Gomorrah, submersion. The writing is on the wall. This land, their vine is of the vine of burning. Their vine is called hot. They are submerged in the fields of Gomorrah, the fields created by those electrical currents, by that vine, their vine. The writing is on the wall, so let's look at it. In Daniel 5, and this, the writing that was written, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. This, the interpretation of the thing, Mene, God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. This kingdom is numbered, and you can see it with your eyes. So let's check out Deuteronomy on that. For their vine, of the vine of Sodom, and of the fields of Gomorrah. This is, the vine of Sodom is the electrical system. The fields of Gomorrah are all the waves that it makes, all the communication, microwaves, Wi-Fi, all of those are the fields of Gomorrah that we are submerged in. So let's look at that word Gomorrah. We're going to look at the Greek version of the word Gomorrah, G1116. That does mean submersion. This word, the G1116, that's from the Greek side of the Strong's Concordance, the index of both the New Testament and the Old Testament words. They each have their own index. The New Testament was written in Greek, the Old Testament primarily in Hebrew, but also Aramaic. Those have two separate indexes, and they shouldn't be connected. And yet we see something from them. We see a sign. We see the writing on the wall. Gomorrah, G1116, is numbered with H1116. Bema. Bema is an occultic platform. That's the technical name for an occultic platform. High place. It's translated high place. It's translated heights. And one time it is translated waves. The Gomorrah is numbered with Bema. The submersion is numbered with waves. The fields of Gomorrah, the satellite signals, the Wi-Fi signals are numbered with Bema. High place, heights, waves, an occultic platform is what that is. Gomorrah, the submersion, is numbered. It is numbered with waves. And Leviticus is the first occurrence of that. And I will destroy your high places, Bema. And I will destroy your high places and cut down your images and cast your carcasses upon the carcasses of your idols, and my soul shall abhor you. This is the first use of the word Bema, and it gives us a clue of what's coming. If you abide In the vine of Sodom, if your vine is the electrical system and the fields that it produces, if that's where you seek your protection, if that's where you seek your counsel, if that's where you get life from, that's going to be destroyed. And he will destroy those high places and cut down your images. And that's right, people who abide in that vine, their carcasses will be cast upon the carcasses of their idols. The writing is indeed on the wall, and you can see it. Hashmal, H2830. Amber is what it is translated to, and it is the modern Hebrew word for electricity. Well, this kingdom is numbered, and we see the H2830 is numbered with G2830. G2830 is the word Kleidon. Kleidon, raging wave. It only occurs twice. It is translated raging once, wave once. It is numbered with the modern Hebrew word for electricity, hashmal. And that is exactly how we make the waves. That is exactly how the vine of Sodom and the fields of Gomorrah are connected. The electrical system, the electrical energy is what makes the waves. That is what makes it. The changing of the polarity of the current, the changing of the current sends out a wave, electromagnetic wave, and we just manipulate those to create our system of communication. This land is submerged in waves, and it is devoured by the vine of Sodom, and the writing is on the wall. This kingdom is numbered. Open up your eyes to it. Those who have eyes to see, see. This kingdom is numbered. This is the writing on the wall. So what is it? What are these numbers that seem to match up with the modern world? The writing on the wall. It is part of the writing on the wall. Electric current is what causes the electromagnetic waves, and the Hebrew word for electricity is numbered with the words raging and wave. The wires on which the electric current flows have enveloped the people, and those wires are called hot. The people of these days have put their trust in electricity. It is their foundation, their cornerstone, and their light. It is the vine in which they live. It is of the vine of Sodom, the vine of burning, the vine called hot. It is of the fields of Gomorrah, for they are submerged in the waves they created. So we'll look at James chapter 5 to see the pattern. This is a pattern that God said the last days would fall into. He warned us about this. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. That is James 5 verse 1. And we'll skip down to verse 8. Now, as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these, and he's talking about the men of the last days, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith. But they, again, the men of the last days, shall proceed no further, for there, the men of the last days, folly shall be manifest unto all, as theirs, Jannes and Jambres, also was. So you see that the men of the last days are going to do a similar thing as Jannes and Jambres, which were the magicians in the court of Egypt that opposed Moses. So the men of the last days will do like Jannes and Jambres withstanding Moses, only they will resist the truth. Not Moses, they will resist the truth. And they will proceed no further than the magicians of Egypt did, and their end will be the same as the magicians of Egypt. So we should look at Exodus to see this pattern, since the last days is clearly like it. So we go back to Exodus 7, where Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses. Exodus 7. And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers. Now the magicians of Egypt, they also did in like manner with their enchantments. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. This is the pattern. That is what the men of the last days have done. Christ is the true vine, the true foundation, the precious cornerstone, and the light of the world. The men of the last days, they also did in like manner with their enchantments. It is their enchantments. They built the vine of Sodom, a vine they call hot. They made the electricity. It delivers the foundation of their world. It is the cornerstone of their civilization. It is their light. And they did this with their enchantments. They did it with their enchantments. The word translated enchantment is lahat. It's H3858. The word lahat is the Hebrew word for flame. The Hebrew word for flame. The men of the last days, they did likewise with their flame. That's why it's called hot. The writing is on the wall, and those who have eyes to see will see it, and those who have ears to hear will hear it. Christ, the true vine, the true foundation, the precious cornerstone, and the light of the world, walked the earth around 2,000 years ago. Now, in these last days, the men of the last days have pushed back. They are doing it just as the Word of God told us they would. Christ is the truth, and they resist the truth. Christ is the truth. He is the true vine. We abide in him and he in us, and we produce much fruit. But without the vine of Christ, we can do nothing. Well, the men of the last days have done likewise with their enchantments. They have built their vine. They abide in their vine. They produce much fruit in their vine, and without their vine, they can do nothing. The world is built upon the electrical grid. Their foundation is electricity. Their cornerstone, the electron. Their light, artificial. Their vine, hot, because they have done likewise with their lahat, their flame. Sodom. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom, and of the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes, grapes of gall. Their clusters, bitter. Sodom is H5467. Sodom means burning. This kingdom is numbered. The word Sodom, H5467, is numbered with G5467, the word chalepos. It only appears twice, translated once, perilous. It only appears twice, and in the verse 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. We just read this verse. It kicked off the passage that tells us that the men of the last days will resist the truth as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses. It tells us the pattern. For their vine, of the vine of Sodom, burning. It is all around us, because in these last days perilous times shall come. The writing is on the wall. Abide in the vine of Christ, and get out of the vine of Sodom.